So in this, we will discuss about the traditional apps, why we are moving on from traditional apps to the reactive migration, and what are the things we should consider, and how we benefit from reactive migration. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, this is about me, and uh, Shreelakshmi is our organizer for Bangalore OutSystems community. Thanks for organizing this event, Shreelakshmi. And yeah, next we have Sahiba Gulati. She's our community engagement manager for APAC, who has provided us both of this opportunity for organizing this user group events. Yeah. So my next thing will be the jumping into the topic reactive migration. So once I start the session, yeah, I welcome you all to have questions also. So if it is really necessary, you can stop me in between and you can ask, or you can park your questions at the end for the Q&A. Okay. Yeah. So I will be starting with the session, right? Okay. uh, Yeah. So first thing is the reactive web apps. All right. First in October 2019, OutSystems has introduced the reactive web apps. Earlier, traditional web application, we were developing all the web applications as a traditional one. So traditional one means most of the things we used to do as a data fetch, all the validation, logical part, our screen building, everything is based on the server side. Even if you want to validate a small conditional check, that also we need to fetch data from a server, and it involved a server call. So to revolutionize that, so React has come up. So reactive is the responsive one. So everything we can do it on the client side. Most of the things we can do it on the reactive on the client side. So due to the significant changes as mentioned in the PPT, like reactive app, OutSystem doesn't provide a tool for automatic migration of the traditional web app. So we need to do it by ourselves, like working out a plan, like what are the things we can be moved from traditional to web, and on the best basis, like most of the things will be is a improved versions, like the performance will be improved. The key aspects of reactive migration is the improved performance, the reduced server calls. Okay, and moreover we are processing everything, we will be processing on the server side. The only the sensitive data we will process on the server side, and all other things we can take a leverage and do it on the client side. And the UI is also, we have the updated version, and everything is a modern UI. So these are the main key features on the reactive client side application development. This is about the reactive overall idea. So the next step is the, yeah, we will be jumping into the key features, and the benefits, and what are the key differences between traditional and reactive, what we will achieve if we do this in reactive. Yeah. So if we take in a traditional web application development, when you are creating a screen and a weblog, everything is whatever the data you process, right, we need to we will be pulling all the data from the server at a time, though it is required, it is not required. uh, we will be pulling all the data every time. Like for example, let's say there is a screen, you are adding a person in the screen, and you want to immediately reflect that data on the screen, the person who have added. So on clicking submit, the created person, you will be running the whole preparation again. Your preparation might be having all the aggregates whichever is not required for that current scope. So here what is the major advantage here is the event based life cycle of a reactive screens and blocks. So first thing, as we know, we have this events initialize, on ready, on render, and on destroy, and on after fetch. These are the main screen events in reactive. So first thing is the on initialize. Correct, on initialize is the something which will happen immediately after the splash screen of a login section. When user comes to the login, once immediately he logs in, we will be checking the user permissions. And there, if you want to perform, if you want to assign role to a that person, you can use this on initialize event. Next thing is, before the DOM is loading, if you want to do any UI related changes, any HTML, CSS related conditional changes, you can use the on ready event. On render event is something where you want to call an API, or you want to call aggregate, you want to make external call every time when a screen is refreshed. There you can do the on render thing. On destroy is when a scope is moved from one screen to other screen. There on destroy event is there. So why I have explained this thing is, if you take in traditional, we don't have this kind of different the life cycle, the events of a screen, so which we can interpret and improve the performance. The same way, blocks also has been constructed in reactive, but in traditional we don't have the same kind of events in traditional. There is another thing is like, if usually like screen might, most of the scenarios we will be constructing a screen block means block might be the child and the screen might be the parent. So based on the user inputs in the parent screen, we will be passing the input to the block, and the block will we will be refreshing the block. So that is why we call web block as a reusable component. Create once, reuse multiple times. So the same kind of a polymorphism concept, we can say oops concept, that is also implied here. So here we have this event, same kind of events, like we can treat block also like a screen on initialize, on ready, on render and destroy. The one additional event they have provided here is the on parameters changed, which is something, the input, if a input is changed, you can refresh the whole data, the block will get automatically refreshed, you no need to manually do any such things. Like the main aspect here is event based sequential approach in the screen and weblog is the major advantage in reactive application. This is the main benefit which will improve the performance and the application development process. So in the traditional web, for small thing also, we need to hit preparation. We need to hit preparation. If you want to refresh the small part of a data, small web block or a drop down, whatever it is, the expressions, whatever it is, any kind of things, we will be refreshing the preparation only. There is no other source we can get the data. But here we have this many places where we can use certain things, which we will, certain things in the sense this aggregates and the data actions we have in reactive to fetch the data at certain level. So uh, I will be moving to the next slide. Like the main advantage, another advantage here is the asynchronous data fetching on screens and weblog, which I was saying in the previous slide. There are these many events, correct? So these many events we can call aggregate, we can call a data action to fetch data. uh, Same way, uh, how we will call is, let's say there is an aggregate here, employees aggregate is there. We can use, there are two ways we can fetch a data and populate it on the screen, during at start or only on demand. So this fetch property is also plays a key role in another high level advantage in reactive. Like I may want to list, show a list of employees and his detail. So first, if we take in traditional, in a preparation, we will get all the details in a aggregate or a SQL and we will store it. Now the data is more, there is 1,000 employees are there. So just getting the name will take some time, and these details from another table, like employee detail table will be there. So you will be calling that table also, and you will be having more data. So if we have more data at the screen starting or in the loading itself, the performance will get hampered. So for that thing only, we have this fetch property in reactive. At start, when you are calling this aggregate, first we will show the list of employees, and there, on clicking the employee name, then only we will fire a call to the server to get his details. That option is we can do it on only on demand. So that is what the advantage here. So only on demand we can get it. There may be 100 employees and user want to check only one employee or 10 employees. So there also we will minimize the server calls. But in traditional, those 100 employees details also would have been, though user wants to check or not, it will be automatically available at the screen start. So that is the difference here in the aggregates thing. And the data action is also they have provided. There is a fetch property in the data actions. So at start and only on demand, again same fetch property they have given. So data actions are nothing but you can call any third party APIs or any other external integrations or any other logical data constructions you can do on the screen or the weblog to populate it the same way. Instead of that aggregate what is, so this it's in your database. If you want to consume a API and populate the data based on the API response, you are sending the data to get the details. Let's say assume employees you are getting from a external system. You will call one API to get his names. Now is selecting one employee, right? Venkatesh, if he is selecting, then I will send another data, my ID as an input to the external system to get my details. I will not make 100 calls. Let's say 100 employees, I will not make 100 calls to the API. So this way also our performance is handled and we are having a decent performance on the screen level and the block level also. And one more word you would have noticed, asynchronous data fetching, which means you have aggregates here, right? So let's say there is a one aggregate name get employees. Same way we can have get students or get managers. All these things, all these aggregates are asynchronous. It is not sequential. It will run parallelly. Asynchronous means parallelly. So parallel processing is there. So their way is also we have improved the performance in reactive. In traditional it's sequential, one by one it will run. So once the data we didn't get the data from one action, it will raise the expression, it will abort the flow but that is not possible in reactive. That way they are minimized and they improve the performance in reactive. So uh, this is about the data fetch and reactive, why we are having these things as a benefit in reactive development. So these data aggregates and data actions, these things can be mostly we will be using on the render actions, ready actions, and on the events of screen and blocks to populate our screens and blocks as per our need. So sure. Uh, I will continue. If you have any questions, please stop me. Don't worry to stop me. Yeah. So yeah, so the parallel processing is the another important aspect. And one more thing also we need to consider here is, in traditional, for a native traditional developer, he say let's say in preparation employee details is there. Based on the employee details he will get the employee uh, related information from another table, but the second table will have the ID of first table. So that is sequential way. But here parallel processing in reactive, get employee details means it will go parallelly. So you should not pass the IDs from the get employees as a filter in the get employee details. You need to do, there is a on after fetch event you see here, right? After fetch, on after fetch, this on after fetch event on the first diagram, if you see, there's a get context, correct? On after fetch, if you want to utilize the information from that aggregate, you need to use the after fetch client action. Inside that only you can call this events, you can call the other aggregate or other table which is depending on get contacts. Then only the data will be proper. Or else, because it's a asynchronous and parallel processing, sometimes get contacts will run first, sometimes get profile images will first, they are independent. So if you keep get contacts and get contacts details separately, this may not get contact details might not give result, because get contact details might run first. That is one point to consider in reactive application. So yeah, I'll be moving into the next part, which is the key feature. As we discussed, there are no preparation in reactive. As I said, there is a reactive application development, no preparation in the sense, in traditional we see, we will be whatever the details required for the screen and the block, we will be filling, we'll be getting those data everything directly. Sorry, someone have any questions? Okay, so no preparation in reactive. In traditional we will get all the data at one stretch, and we will be hitting again and again, we will be recalling the preparation on again and again. So that way is not there. So they itself major improvement of performance in reactive development in out systems. Next, there is a client side validation. There is a client side validation is there already. There is a pre-built form input validations and everything is already available for a quick feedback. Anything you want to check at the server side, particularly as a best practice, we can do at the server side also, but as a first filter condition, the client side validation is also available. Then there is no ajax refresh. No ajax refresh means, in reactive the refresh things are responsive. For example, I submit the button, the pop-up will automatically come. And if I enter some data, for example, if I entering myself as Venkat, my location will automatically change to my native, my place. Let's say if I Shreelakshmi enters her name, her ID, her location will automatically change in the another field. But in traditional we need to call ajax refresh, and we need to refresh that location widget separately by passing the id of that variable, id of the widget bound to it. So that way is also another milestone in reactive application. Everything is responsive in client side. And there are no submit methods in traditional, like button links. We have submit methods such as submit and ajax submit. There are no such methods separately in reactive. And the coding wise is also application objects, and everything is minimized. And reactive we don't need to worry about these things. Like submit, for the traditional, submit means it is just submit, it won't refresh the whole data. But if you are using ajax submit, whatever the data you submit, it will be refreshed and it will be shown the updated data in the screen. If you want data submission and a refresh, then we will be using ajax submit in traditional. But in reactive it will automatically refresh everything, it will automatically show. So that is the responsiveness in reactive application development. And one more thing is also, we already have a aggregate or data action which we have pulled it. So explicitly if we want to refresh the specific aggregate or a data action, we can simply refresh the action, that particular aggregate, this particular aggregate or data action into our flow, in the client action at the end, and we can show it on the UI. Automatically refresh means I say this thing only, like we can drag and drop this aggregate, so it will automatically get refreshed. So that's what I said, like even if for the small data change, we don't need to hit the preparation every time. So why we are hitting the preparation means, it will be making a server call. But if you're refreshing aggregate, already there is a data, everything is already piled up. So if you want, we are minimizing the traffic. The main concept in reactive is minimizing the traffic from client to server, thus improving the performance. So if there is less traffic, the more performance. Like if more number of users are coming and keep on hitting it, then server might not be available. This kind of issues will happen when there is a too many calls to server. We might have noticed in our application day to day development and application testing, whatever we do as a as our out systems part. So there will be that, thus that way we can remove this milestone, we remove these blockers. And this is another milestone in reactive application development. Okay, uh, I'll be moving into the next slide. And another concept here is the client session versus client variables. In traditional application development also we have a session concept. In reactive also we have a same kind of session concept, but but it is termed as a client variables. um, there is a session variable which is available in traditional, bound to the user session, right? Same way client variables also assign, we are having it. But the logic, everything we have, it will be used in the client side. And again, client variables are mostly utilized on the client side. Okay, so and session we can do it on the server side also, but there in reactive that limitation is there. But they improved the performance if you can see the table here, right? Session variables available and stored on server side, but client variable is available and stored on client side. So everything, we need to make a coding in a way such a way that we are handling everything on client side, so no need to make a more more calls to server, the performance will get disturbed. So that way the client variable concept they have brought in here, and we are utilizing it here. And client variables also we can consume between other modules, from one module to other modules also, by exposing it in another client actions as a public. And we have alternate approaches to utilize the client variables from, there is a specific to a module, right? We mentioned in the first point we have a client variable specific to a module. From one module to another module also we can consume by keeping these variables in a client actions as a public, that action as a public, and utilizing it from one module user session to other module we can take it. So I'll be moving to the next part.
One, hold on.
Yeah.
I have, so regarding client variables,
Mm,
uh, so during development, a lot
mm,
of elements in the module
mm.
is you can manage dependency. You can bring that to
Yeah.
another module,
Yeah.
so a table or a structure or a
Mm,
block,
yeah.
etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
So last week when I was developing an application, I had a lot of blocks in my application. I have a lot of blocks in CW
Okay.
module, core
Okay.
widget,
Okay.
and I have a drop down in that CW module.
Okay.
So I thought maybe I'll create a client variable in the CW and then use it in the UI, the main app
Okay.
module.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that wouldn't work because the client variable never got initialized in the
Uh,
main app.
okay.
So I cannot even manage dependency. Do you know why? Why can't I bring it directly instead of client actions?
Because that is how the like, okay, you already tried taking dependency from, like, you already set a common module. Like for example, I understood your problem, like it's not initialized in the main module.
Yes.
What I would like, yeah, in my past experience what we have done is same concept, like from one module to module A is having client variable, I want it in a module B, means I will create a if there is any common module there, getter and setter methods. Okay, so here the client variable I'll create in the module A client actions. Okay, with the output parameters. I will in the common module, right? That common module I'll create the get client action. So I will be getting this. I will be consuming those gets client actions in the module C, and I'll be passing this as a, and I will be setting it into. I'll be having another set actions as a set client action also. So in the module B, I'll be having a client variable, right? Which I want this client variable in module A. Same thing I want to be in module B, means in module C, I'll be having a set client action also. This thing I will consume in module B, and I will pass this input in that, assign this value in that client newly created client variable. So
Yeah.
this way we have achieved that client variable concept. Like when the event
Yes.
is fired. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually the concept you just explained actually it was in one of the forum discussion.
Uh,
So the same concept was explained.
yeah.
So so of course this is achievable through
Mm.
this method which you have
Yeah.
explained.
Yep. We have
And
tried it in live also. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
I hope that perhaps in the future our system can allow manage dependency of client variables as well. That would be easier, right? As
Yeah.
opposed
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Correct.
yes, that
Yes.
yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Instead of having it as another doing extra effort, we can have it as
Additional, yeah.
a dependency. Correct. Yeah.
Yes. All
Yes.
right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So next thing is the reactive web security best practices. Like, um, so the major differences in the traditional to reactive, uh, the major differences which we have discussed here. Okay, so the key features and data fetch, screen and block events, key features, session as the client variables. And next thing is the security, a security perspective. We are coming into the security perspective is like it is mostly of client side coded, right? So there is a high chance that hacker can do eject anything any kinds of security related concerns we might get. So the first thing as a thumb rule we should keep in mind is all the sensitive code and data we should map it on the server side. uh, like we should not, for example, as a basic thing, you should not keep any screen as anonymous. So we will get a warning in our service studio, you are exposing a screen as anonymous. So you should not do like that. We will get warnings, right? We should strictly follow those warnings and do we should make those things go away, and we should understand the concept also. So that, for example, here this means that it can be manipulated. That's why we need to make sure that all security data is processed on the server side. In a client action, if you are exposing any server action as a public and all, we will get warnings. Okay, so that server action, we will be wrapping it in from module to module, from front end module and be a core layer module, then the foundation layer module, and there are multiple wrappers we would have used, not directly consuming the uh, CRUD operation actions in a client action is not recommendable. You should have it inside a wrapper, and that wrapper means another server action as a replica, means as a parent of that. Inside that server action you can have a CRUD actions, and then you consume it in the client action. And this way is also one more way of securing, abstracting the data. We are getting the actual data, but we are packaging it in a way which can be avoided the injection of these things. And there are so many security aspects, like in traditional, mostly if you want to achieve any UI related functionalities, which is out of the box, we might be end up writing in the as a jQueries or JavaScript files. Here in Reactive, most of the things we can avoid, they have already built it. Okay, in the UI perspective also, it's most of the things are already available. We can, they have separately introduced JavaScript action to have it in our client action, rather than having a separate events on buttons or links. And we have already these things in the client actions. We can have the JavaScript packages and keep it up and running there. Less JavaScript, and they've improved the more low code actions on the client side. That is in the Reactive, one another key factor. And as we know, the general aspect in the AI Mentor Studio, uh, AI Mentor Studio also regularly runs every day, and it keeps us posting about the what are the violations we are doing, and what are the things we can improve, and best practices which we are not following, correct? So if we keep that in mind, and there is an interesting we will get to know so many things there. um, there are interesting small things also we will get. For example, in my experience, like public elements without description, and long document flow, long flow has been undocumented, and monolithic module, we need to split it into this kind of warnings. Um, it looks like small, but we keep it in mind, and if we do while doing a development itself, right, as a package one, so it will reduce another effort. Like for us refactoring, we will no need to put extra effort on the refactoring. And that is the concept of AI Mentor Studio. And another thing is, like, we usually create test screens, okay, for as a developer. Mostly not everyone, maybe there are test screens people will create and by forgot to keep it, and it will get deployed to the higher environments. And some people test screen in the sense, like, without user roles also, it can be anonymous also. So that should not be kept, and it can be removed, and it should be deleted, and we should be thoroughly checking all these things before deploying any code to the higher environments. And in Reactive, third party plugins usage, not only in Reactive, overall out systems application development, there are so many plugins available in Forge, and most of the plugins out systems might have developed, or some plugins might be they will be marking as protected. Some plugins might not be marked as protected, and we might get into confusion, like why what we should use, it will be all applicable or not. First thing is, um, if you're moving your application from traditional to Reactive, right? So then there are some plugins which are available only for traditional, which are not available for Reactive. I have seen 60 to 70% of the plugins which we can convert from traditional to reactive. The only difference is, if in such cases, in the only difference is the UI element, the UI element, the widget. Uh, what I say is the reactive widgets might be the difference. The JavaScript files, the coding, everything at the back end they have consumed it. It might be the same in the traditional. So that way we can convert a traditional plugin to a reactive plugin, and we can use it in our reactive thing. So as a plugins perspective also, we have so many things available in Forge, and even if it is not available, we can convert it as per our need in our environment. Because most of the clients and which I have seen, I am experiencing from my seniors and my colleagues that they want to recreate plugins by seeing the plugins, and they want to recreate it in their environment and use it as an asset. Because if there is any update, if anybody is doing a common thing, right, if we update it, it should not hamper our coding. So that way is also we are good. And as I said, security logic in the sense, we should not make it available all the things, make it available under UI, all the secure logic processing and UI client actions. And sometimes in the browser, if you inspect in the network, control shift if you use the control shift I and inspect the UI elements, all the data uh, might be accessible, and you can change it and you can see the color, whatever it is. Yeah. So those things are, we should avoid it, like processing the data on the server side. For example, in uh, if you have a container under if condition, okay, if a container you are displaying it as false, let's say false, there is my name is there, Venkatesh, in expression enclosed in a container. Let's say text as enclosed in a container, my name is Venkatesh, and it is, first we will keep it as true. And if condition in the true branch, my name is the, now two names will show, Venkatesh in container and Venkatesh in if condition. UI will be just names will be coming. But we know in the coding, if you inspect and see, you will be seeing these values. But if you, let's say you just keep container as false, and if condition as, you keep the text value from true branch to the false branch. Now in the Chrome, if you inspect it, you will still see that container as a div. You can enable it and you can view the data. But in if condition, you cannot, you can't see that, because that is a widget. It's coming from it's a wrapped inside a widget, and which is not related to any HTML or CSS aspect. So in reactive thing, we can come over this kind of security, we can consider keep these things in mind, and we can improve our security things. And there are not only this limited to this security aspect, there are so many security points we need to consider. And there is a detailed documentation in our out systems portal. And what my experience is like, if we most of the things, our service studio itself is populating it in the true change tab, what are the warnings and errors. If we follow it, it will be more helpful, and it will make our life easier in doing the development. Yeah. So the next thing is the migration sequence steps. So the migration, if okay, let's say you're considering about migrating your app from traditional to reactive. Okay, you've done, and you will be thinking of the resources mapping and what are the things you'll be estimating it, how much time it will take, and all those things. Then what I say, screen wise, the theme, first thing is the theme we should migrate it, which is independent, and uh, it does not require any dependency from traditional to reactive, and because it's purely CSS. And theme we will be migrating it. Then the UI flows, all the screens from the screen to the screen, what it should go. The UI flows we can first, then we can start with designing the solution for the UI flows. Then the external sites, in traditional, in the external size is like, instead of that, here we have a redirect to URL. uh, there, that widget is there. So other other external sites also we can manipulate it using a JavaScript, like window.open, this kind of things we can think. And web screens, then only we can come into the web screens, because these are the independent things which we will design a solution. Then web screens are nothing but our traditional screen to reactive. The UI itself is different, because everything is naming also you will see the difference, most of the things. And the client side, so web screens we need to uh, map a solution for it. Then we will be starting the weblog with the least dependency. So the order, this is the migration recommended by OutSystems to, when you're thinking of traditional to reactive migration. Okay, so yeah, right. So yeah, I have come to the end. So yeah, so these are the, we have this many customers in OutSystems, and we are growing and growing, and it is good for all of us. And yeah, and
Thank
those
you,
who have, yeah,
Venkat,
yeah, Shilashmi,
for
yeah,
your wonderful session. So we are in the Q&A part of the event now. So we are open to your questions. And if you want any of the concept to be repeated, you can ask us. And you want any
yeah.
clarification regarding the topic, we're open for it. Any questions? Uh, there is a chat. Okay. So Venkat has delivered the concept very well then, because no one has any questions. Okay.
Uh,
So yeah,
One thing I want to mention,
Yes.
regarding the security which you mentioned. So,
yeah,
like, let's say you have a table, and you have some lot of columns, a lot of attributes in it, and then you have some meta columns in it, metadata, so created by, created date, is deleted, etc. So these are sensitive information, right? So just wondering, last week in the office when I was working,
mm,
I my a friend of mine is a junior. He had to display some information on the screen. He had created a client side aggregate. Okay, a client side aggregate. So it's not a server side aggregate. Right click on the web block, right click on the screen, get the aggregate option. You bring the aggregate, right?
mm,
Now, so the reason I'm bringing it up, because I just wanted to mention that when you bring a client's aggregate, right, you are fetching the information, all the columns, all the information
yeah,
from that from the table. So it is visible to the through the inspection tool, network tab. You will see the
mm,
all the records,
yeah,
all the values of that column. Every column will be brought. So that you need to keep in mind for those who are not aware. So instead of
mm,
alternative would be to create a structure, use a
mm,
data action, only those necessary values, not everything. So this way you can eliminate all those other columns which you want to be hidden, but you are bringing it regardless because of clients aggregate.
yeah.
So I thought this would be a very important information.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. It's an important information. Yeah, we can leverage
Yeah,
the power of structures here. Yeah, we can limit the columns. Yeah, correct. And yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Praveen.
Okay. So we would love to take your feedback for the event. And also, I would like to mention we have our next upcoming event, which is on 23rd September. And the speaker for this upcoming event is an OutSystems MVP from Sydney, Australia. So let's make the most of it, because it is about the the BI dashboards and out systems. So, and also since it is from an MVP, we will make the best use of it. So I would want everyone to register for the event. Also, those who are not part of Bangalore Out Systems user group, I will post the link in chat. you can join the community, and welcome.
Yeah.
And thank you all for attending the event. And if you have any questions or any clarifications needed, you can always reach out to us, and we will post our uh, email IDs on the chat. So if you have any questions regarding the event in future, you can reach out to Venkat as well as me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here is my email ID. I'm going to drop it in the chat, and Venkat, please do
Yeah.
it
Sure.
from your end.
Yeah.
And I hope to see all of you in the next upcoming event on 23rd. Hope we'll meet again. And I request everybody to submit your feedback in order to improve in the upcoming events. Thank you so much for attending. So if there is nothing, we will wind up the session.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.